and welcome everyone to the most miserable cities in America 2013. Since 2012 and the top 10 was such a big hit and brought me over 8,000 views, I think we'll do another one of the Forbes this year around. Number 1, Detroit, Michigan. Detroit has moved up from the position of number 2 to the coveted position of number 1. Everyone knows that Detroit, Michigan has become a sinkhole. Most bankrupt, most violent, most crazy. The list goes on and on. Detroit, Michigan now has become a sinkhole for everyone around. Number 2, who just happened to be number 3 on 2012, Flint, Michigan, folks. Flint, Michigan has suffered from decades and decades of decline. Flint has demolished homes in the city, shrinks with residents leaving in search of jobs. Only Detroit has a higher net out migration rate. Flint ranks 3rd worst for violent crimes behind Detroit and Memphis, Tennessee. Moving along here, folks. Making the step up from number 9 to number 3 on most miserable of 2013 is Rockford, Illinois. A 3 decades decline in manufacturing base has hurt Rockford's economy and kept unemployment high. The metro's recent 12.2% unemployment rate is one of the highest rates in the U.S. Another burden, high property taxes. Not to mention, the school district was desegregated and sued back in the 90s. Not to mention that the illiteracy rate in the city is higher than any other city of its size in the country. Not to mention that there is just a downright social and moral decay within that city that brings into the mind a ball. There's nothing good about Rockford, Illinois ever to speak about or ever to be said. That city is truly the most miserable city, in my opinion, in the country. Moving along, number 4, Chicago, Illinois. Chicago, folks. Chicago has passionate supporters, but the residents must endure the misery of long commutes, plummeting home prices, brutal winters, and high foreclosure rates. The migration rate of Chicago is 6th worst among 200 largest metro cities. Not to mention the gun grabs, not to mention the total totalitarian state from which state of policies that they live upon, and the south end of Chicago is just totally beyond the wild 100s, a war zone. Moving along, number 5, Modesto, California. Foreclosures continue to plague the Modesto with 6,859 foreclosure filings in 2012, according to the Realty Track. It represents 3.8% of homes, which is the 3rd highest rate in the U.S. Recent unemployment rate was 15%. Modesto is climbing to be number 4 and number 3 as Rockford becomes number 1. Vallejo, California, home of E40. Well, I've already done much talk and research about this. Vallejo, California recently filed bankruptcy back in 2011. The city is finally emerging at the end of nearly three years of problems. Problems remain with high levels of foreclosures and unemployment. Well, if you become bankrupt, decadent, morally and socially bankrupt as well, these things tend to happen. Moving on. Number 7, Warren, Michigan. Warren, Michigan, again, was number 10 in last year's list, and they've moved up to number 7. Troy and Farming Hills are part of the government-defined Warren Metro division. Like Detroit, the Warren Metro has seen home prices collapse off 53% of the past five years. You lose 50% of your home value in 5 years, and people wonder why they are on the most miserable. They can't borrow. They can't live within their means of spending. They can't do anything. The prices are so high, and people are pricing themselves out of life itself. That is another social fabric decay that has beset and set upon this country. Moving on. Number 8, Stockton, California. You know what, folks? I've had a video for quite some time when I traveled down to Stockton just about a year ago. That place is rivaling Camden, New Jersey. I mean, there's people standing out at parking lots with tattoos from fingers up to the neck. Stockton became the largest U.S. city to file for bankruptcy protection last year. The city is burdened with the highest foreclosure rate in the U.S. and ranks among the 5 worst for unemployment and crime. Again, the crime is out of control. They have taken over the city. They have taken over the blocks. They have taken over the gas stations. It's like driving into a gas station into Chicago. There are panhandlers everywhere and people with tattoos from fingers all the way up to their neck asking for change. Moving along. Number 9, Lake County, Illinois. And guess what Lake County, Illinois belongs to? Chicago. This Chicago suburb is one of the richest counties in the U.S. and is measured by per capita income, but the home prices are down 30% over the past 5 years. Other drawbacks, long commutes and lousy weather. Chicago is dragging down the whole county, folks. Moving along. Number 10, New York. New York City. Taxes are always a hot button issue in the New York City area, whether it's revolves around banks paying their fair share or taxes that residents face, which are at the highest in the U.S. New Yorkers also rank first when it comes to longest commutes. Not to mention the gun grabbing, not to mention the totalitarian dictator despot Michael Bloomberg is mayor. You will not have sugary drinks. You will not have automobiles. You will not pollute the earth. You will not do this. You will not do that. Why don't you just stop breathing and die? Welcome to New York, people. And that concludes 2030's top 10 most miserable cities in the world.